How do you classify this triangle? In this lesson, you will learn how to classify triangles by examining their properties. Let's review. An angle is a figure made by two rays. So here's a ray, here's another ray, and these two rays meet at a point. The difference between the two lines is measured in degrees, and the degrees tell us the name of each angle. Now, a common misunderstanding is that sometimes when determining whether sides are congruent, students just look and take a guess. And now it's better to use a measurement tool like a ruler to truly determine whether the sides are congruent. Alright, so we're going to learn how to classify triangles by examining their properties. So we know that triangles have three sides. There's 1, 2, 3 sides. We also know that the sum of a triangle's angles equal 180 degrees. So all triangles have three sides and the sum equal 180 degrees. Let's take a look at this triangle. So we can look at this triangle and see that triangle CAR has three angles. Now using our benchmark angle, the right angle, we will see that we have a triangle with, this is a triangle with an acute angle, which is less than 90 degrees. We also have an obtuse angle, which is larger or greater than 90 degrees, and we have another acute angle, which is less than 90 degrees. With this information, we can classify this triangle as an obtuse triangle because an obtuse triangle has one obtuse angle. So triangle CAR is an obtuse triangle. Let's now take a look at this triangle. This triangle, we're going to call it triangle BAT. This also has three angles. Now as we look at the angles in comparison to the right angle, we see that they are all less than a right angle, 90 degrees. So this means that we have three acute angles. So when a triangle has three acute angles, it is classified as an acute triangle. Lastly, let's take a look at this third triangle, triangle PAT. It also has three angles. So if you notice, there is a pair of perpendicular lines which create a corner of a square. So this means we have a right angle. The other two angles are less than a right angle and less than a right angle. So we have two acute angles and one right angle. So we can classify triangle PAT as a right triangle. So we know we can classify triangles by their angles, but we can also classify them by their sides. So when we look at this first triangle, we notice that none of the sides are the same length. They are not congruent. We can classify this triangle as a scalene triangle. A scalene triangle has no congruent sides. The next figure has two congruent sides, and we can classify or name this triangle as an isosceles triangle. The tick marks tell us that the sides are congruent. So an isosceles triangle has two congruent sides. Lastly, we have a figure that has exactly three congruent sides. We can call this an equilateral triangle because all three sides are congruent or equal. So how would you classify this triangle? Alright, so we see that it has two congruent markings. That means that it has two congruent sides. And we also see that it has, this is an acute angle, an obtuse angle, and another acute angle. So we can classify this triangle as two congruent sides means it's isosceles. And because we had one obtuse and two acute angles, it was an obtuse triangle. So that means that this is an obtuse isosceles triangle. In this lesson, you have learned how to classify triangles by examining their properties.